Chapter 1 Fables of Wisdom and Wit. The Wolf and the Lamb. Once upon a time, a wolf was drinking at a spring on a hillside. When, looking up, what should he see but a lamb just beginning to drink a little lower down? There's my supper, if only I can find some excuse to seize it. How dare you muddle the water from which I am drinking? Nay, master, nay. If the water be muddy up there, I cannot be the cause of it, for it runs down from you to me. Well then, why did you call me bad names this time last year? That cannot be, for I am only 6 months old. I don't care. If it was not you, it was your father. And with that, he rushed upon the poor helpless lamb and ate her all up. But before she died, she gasped out, "Any excuse will serve a tyrant." The Dog in the Shadow. It happened that a dog had got a piece of meat and was carrying it home in his mouth to eat it in peace. Now on his way home, he had to cross a plank lying across a running brook. As he crossed, he looked down and saw his own shadow reflected in the water beneath. Thinking it was another dog with another piece of meat, he made up his mind to have that also. So he made a snap at the shadow in the water, but as he opened his mouth, the piece of meat fell out, dropped into the water, and was never seen more. Beware lest you lose the substance by grasping at the shadow. The Lion and the Mouse. Once when a lion was asleep, a little mouse began running up and down upon him. This soon wakened the lion, who placed his huge paw upon him and opened his big jaws to swallow him.
"Pardon, O king, forgive me this time. I shall never forget it. Who knows but what I may be able to do you a turn some of these days."
The lion was so tickled at the idea of the mouse being able to help him that he lifted up his paw and let him go. Some time after, the lion was caught in a trap, and the hunters, who desired to carry him alive to the king, tied him to a tree while they went in search of a wagon to carry him on. Just then, the little mouse happened to pass by, and seeing the sad plight in which the lion was, went up to him and soon gnawed away the ropes that bound the king of the beasts.
Was I not right?
The little mouse was very happy to help the lion. Little friends may prove great friends. Chapter 2 Nature's Lessons. The Fox and the Grapes. One hot summer's day, a fox was strolling through an orchard till he came to a bunch of grapes just ripening on a vine which had been trained over a lofty branch. Just the thing to quench my thirst. Drawing back a few paces, he took a run and at a jump and just missed the bunch. Turning round again with a 1, 2, 3, he jumped up, but with no greater success. Again and again, he tried after the tempting morsel, but at last had to give it up and walked away with his nose in the air, saying, "I am sure they are sour." It is easy to despise what you cannot get. The Ant and the Grasshopper. In a field one summer's day, a grasshopper was hopping about, chirping and singing to its heart's content. An ant passed by, bearing along with great toil an ear of corn he was taking to the nest. "Why not come and chat with me, instead of toiling and moiling in that way? I am helping to lay up food for the winter, and recommend you to do the same." "Why bother about winter? We have got plenty of food at present." But the ant went on its way and continued its toil. When the winter came, the grasshopper had no food and was dying of hunger, while it saw the ants distributing every day corn and grain from the stores they had collected in the summer. Then the grasshopper knew. It is best to prepare for days of need. The Hare and the Tortoise. The hare was once boasting of his speed before the other animals. "I have never yet been beaten when I put forth my full speed. I challenge anyone here to race with me." "I accept your challenge." "That is a good joke. I could dance around you all the way." Keep your boasting till you've won. Shall we begin? So a course was fixed and a start was made. The hare darted almost out of sight at once, but soon stopped and, to show his contempt for the tortoise, lay down to have a nap. The tortoise plodded on and plodded on, and when the hare awoke from his nap, he saw the tortoise just near the winning post and could not run up in time to save the race. Slow but steady wins the race. Chapter 3: Lessons and Values. The Cock and the Pearl. A cock was once strutting up and down the farmyard among the hens, when suddenly he espied something shining amid the straw. "Ho, ho!" he said, and soon rooted it out from beneath the straw. What did it turn out to be but a pearl, that by some chance had been lost in the yard? You may be a treasure to men that prize you, but for me, I would rather have a single barley corn than a peck of pearls. Precious things are for those that can prize them. The Lion's Share. The lion went once a-hunting along with the fox, the jackal, and the wolf. They hunted and they hunted till at last they surprised a stag, and soon took its life. Then came the question how the spoil should be divided. "Quarter me the stag," roared the lion, so the other animals skinned it and cut it into 4 parts. "The first quarter is for me in my capacity as king of beasts. The second is mine as your arbiter. Another share comes to me for my part in the chase. And as for the 4th quarter, well, as for that, I should like to see which of you will dare to lay a paw upon it." Grumbled the fox as he walked away with his tail between his legs. But he spoke in a low voice. "You may share the labors of the great, but you will not share the spoil. Might makes right." The Wolf and the Crane. A wolf had got a bone stuck in his throat, and in the greatest agony ran up and down, offering any reward to anyone who would pull it out. At last the crane agreed to try, and instructing the wolf to lie upon his side and open his jaws as wide as he could, the crane placed its long bill down the wolf's throat and drew out the bone.
"Will you kindly give me the reward you promised?"
"What?" snarled the wolf. "Is it not enough reward that you have had your head in a wolf's mouth and brought it out again in safety? Gratitude and greed go not together." The Man and the Serpent. A countryman's son by accident trod upon a serpent's tail, which turned and bit him so that he died. The father in a rage got his axe, and pursuing the serpent, cut off part of its tail. So the serpent in revenge began stinging several of the farmer's cattle. "Let us forget and forgive," said the farmer, thinking it best to make it up. "I can hide my axe and you can hide your sting." "Nay," hissed the serpent, "I can never forget the loss of my tail, nor you the death of your son. Injuries may be forgiven, but never forgotten." The Town Mouse and the Country Mouse. Now you must know that a town mouse once upon a time went on a visit to his cousin in the country.
"Welcome, cousin. Have some of these peas and corn."
"I cannot understand, cousin, how you can put up with such poor food as this. But of course you cannot expect anything better in the country. Come you with me, and I will show you how to live. When you have been in town a week, you will wonder how you could ever have stood a country life." So the 2 mice set off for the town and arrived at the town mouse's residence late at night. "You will be hungry after our long journey. Do eat some of this cake and cheese." Suddenly the door flew open, and a party of revelers entered. The 2 mice ran to a corner and hid. Then a large cat entered, and the mice had to remain very quiet.
"Goodbye, cousin."
"What? Going so soon?"
"Yes, I'd rather have a crust in peace than a feast in fear."
"Better beans and bacon in peace than cakes and ale in fear." Chapter 4, Pride and Folly. The Fox and the Crow. A crow possessed a piece of cheese and was perched on a high branch when a fox spotted her. "Good morning, Mistress Crow. How well you are looking today. How glossy your feathers, how bright your eye. I feel sure your voice must surpass that of other birds, just as your figure does. Let me hear but one song from you." The crow lifted up her head and began to caw her best, but the moment she opened her mouth, the piece of cheese fell to the ground, only to be snapped up by Master Fox. "That will do. In exchange for your cheese, I will give you a piece of advice for the future. Do not trust flatterers. Flattery is not a proof of true admiration." The Sick Lion. A lion had come to the end of his days and lay sick unto death at the mouth of his cave, gasping for breath. The animals, his subjects, came round him, and seeing that he could no longer do them harm, they took their revenge. The boar rushed at him and gored him with his tusks. Then a wolf came and bit him. Finally an ass came up, and seeing that the lion was unable to move, he too took a turn and kicked him in the face with his heels. "Ah, this is a double death," said the lion with a groan. "Only cowards insult dying majesty. It is easy to kick a man when he is down." The Ass and the Lapdog. A farmer had a lapdog, which he used to take on his knee and feed with tidbits from his own plate. An ass, observing this, thought that if he behaved like the lapdog, he would be treated with the same kindness. So one day he came into the house and began to gambol about, finally jumping up and putting his forefeet on the farmer's shoulders. "Help! Help!" cried the farmer. And the servants came and beat the ass back to his stable. "I only did what the lapdog does," grumbled the ass. "What is appropriate for one may be ridiculous in another." The Swallow and the Other Birds. It happened that a countryman was sowing some hemp seed, and a swallow observed it.
Take care of that seed, for if it should once sprout, the men will make nets of the stalks to catch you.
The other birds paid no attention to her, and when the hemp grew up, they were all caught in the nets.
"I told you so,"
said the swallow. "Destroy the seed of evil, or it will grow up to your ruin." The Frogs Desiring a King. The frogs were living a happy life in a marsh, but they thought they should have a king to rule over them. "Give us a king, O Jupiter." Jupiter, seeing their simplicity, threw down a huge log into the marsh. At first the frogs were terrified, but when they saw the log lie still, they began to hop upon it and treat it with contempt. "We want a real king and a law, not elite." Jupiter then sent them a stork, which began to eat the frogs as fast as he could. "Save us, O Jupiter." But Jupiter replied that since they were not content with a quiet king, they must suffer under a tyrant. Better no king than a tyrant. Chapter 5, Substance and Show. The Mountains in Labor. A mountain was once greatly agitated. Loud groans and noises were heard, and crowds of people came from all parts to see what was the matter. While they were waiting in anxious expectation, out came a mouse. Much outcry, little outcome. The Hares and the Frogs. The hares were once so beset with fear that they met to consult what they should do. We are at the mercy of every animal and man. Let us go and drown ourselves rather than live in such misery. As they were going to the water, a number of frogs, terrified by their approach, leaped into the stream. "Look," said one of the hares, "there are creatures even more cowardly than we are. There is always someone worse off than yourself. The Wolf and the Kid. A kid was perched on the roof of a house when a wolf passed by below. "You coward! You thief! How dare you show your face here?" "It is not you who mocks me, but the roof on which you stand." Location is everything. The Woodman and the Serpent. One wintry day, a woodman found a serpent stiff and frozen with cold. He took it up and put it in his bosom to warm it. The serpent, as soon as it was revived by the heat, bit its benefactor. "I have only got what I deserve for taking pity on so evil a creature." No kindness can change an evil nature. The Bald Man and the Fly. A fly bit the bald head of a man who, in trying to crush it, gave himself a heavy blow. The fly said mockingly, "You would have killed me for a little bite, but what will you do to yourself for that great blow? I am ready to forgive myself, but for such a creature as you, I would suffer any pain to destroy you. You will only injure yourself if you take notice of despicable enemies." Chapter 6. Social Graces. The Fox and the Stork. The fox invited the stork to dinner, but for a joke, he put nothing before her but some soup in a shallow dish. The stork, with her long bill, could not get a drop, while the fox lapped it up with ease. "I am sorry you do not like the soup." The stork said nothing, but invited the fox to dinner the next day. She put before him some minced meat in a long-necked jar, which she could easily reach with her bill, but the fox could only lick the outside. "I hope you enjoy your dinner as much as I did mine yesterday. One bad turn deserves another." The Fox and the Mask. A fox once entered a tragedian's house and found a mask, a piece of work very well made. "What a handsome head," said he, "but it's a pity it has no brains. Beauty is only skin deep." The Jay and the Peacock. A jay once found some feathers that had fallen from a peacock, and pinning them among his own, he skipped about with great pride. The peacocks, seeing him, soon found out the cheat and began to peck at him and pluck away the borrowed feathers. The jay then returned to his old companions, but they would have nothing to do with him. Borrowed feathers do not make a peacock. It is not only fine feathers that make fine birds. The Frog and the Ox. A young frog once saw an ox and was terrified by its size. He ran to his father. "Oh, father, I have seen such a huge beast." "Was it as big as this?" said the old frog, puffing himself out. "Oh, much bigger." The old frog puffed himself out more and more until at last he burst. Do not attempt the impossible. Androcles. Androcles, a slave, escaped into the forest and hid in a cave. There he found a lion moaning with pain from a thorn in its paw. "Do not be afraid, I will help you." Androcles pulled out the thorn, and the lion became his friend. Later, Androcles was captured and condemned to fight a lion in the arena. But when the lion was let loose, it recognized Androcles and began to lick his hand. The governor was so amazed that he set them both free. Gratitude is the sign of noble souls. Chapter 7. Perception and Reality. The Bat, the Birds, and the Beasts. A great battle was about to take place between the birds and the beasts. The bat, not knowing which side would win, kept changing sides. "I am a bird," said he when the birds were winning. "I am a beast," said he when the beasts were winning. When peace was made, neither side would have anything to do with him. He that is neither one thing nor the other has no friends. He who serves two masters serves none. The Hart and the Hunter. A hart was drinking at a spring and admired his branching horns, but was ashamed of his spindly legs. How beautiful are my antlers, but how miserable are my legs. Just then a hunter appeared, and the hart's legs soon carried him out of reach. But as he entered a thicket, his horns became entangled in the branches. Woe is me! My legs, which I despised, would have saved me, while my horns, which I was so proud of, have been my ruin. We often despise what is most useful to us. The Serpent and the File. A serpent once entered a smithy and began to lick a file. The file said quietly, "You are wasting your time. I am used to biting, not being bitten. It is useless to attack those who can bite back." The Man in the Wood. A man once went into the wood and asked for a handle for his axe. The wood agreed to let him have a piece of ash. As soon as the man had fitted the handle, he began to cut down all the best trees. An old oak said to a cedar, "We have only ourselves to blame. If we had not given him the handle, he could not have used the axe." Those who give their enemies the means to destroy them deserve no pity. The Dog and the Wolf. A wolf met a dog and began to admire his sleek coat. "How well you look! I can hardly find enough to eat. Come with me to my master's house, and you shall have plenty." As they were going along, the wolf noticed a mark on the dog's neck. "What is that?" "Oh, that's where I'm tied up at night." "In that case, goodbye. I'd rather have a crust in freedom than a feast in chains. Lean liberty is better than fat slavery." Chapter 8: Cooperation and Conflict. The belly and the members. The members of the body once began to grumble against the belly. "Why should we do all the work while the belly does nothing but enjoy the food we provide?" So they decided to strike. The hands would not carry food, the mouth would not receive it, and the teeth would not chew it. But soon the whole body began to waste away, and the members understood that the belly was doing its part after all. All must work together if the whole is to prosper. All for one and one for all. The Hart in the Ox Stall. A hart, pursued by hunters, hid in an ox stall. The oxen advised him to leave, but he stayed and hid under the straw. The servants came and went, but did not see him. At last, the master himself came and soon noticed the hart's horns poking out. Nothing escapes the eye of the master. An owner's eye is sharper than his servant's. The Horse, Hunter, and Stag. A horse once had a quarrel with a stag and asked the hunter to help him. "I will help you, but I must put a bit in your mouth and a saddle on your back." The horse agreed, and with the hunter's help, he defeated the stag. But when the battle was over, the hunter would not let the horse go. "I have got what I wanted, but I have lost my freedom. If you allow men to use you for their own purposes, they will soon master you." The Peacock and Juno. The peacock was dissatisfied because he could not sing like the nightingale. "Why did you give me such a harsh voice, O Juno?"
You have your beauty and your size. You should be content with your own gifts.
Be content with your lot. One cannot be first in everything. The Fox and the Lion. When the fox first saw the lion, he was so terrified that he almost died of fright. The second time, he was still afraid, but not so much as before. The third time, he was so bold that he went up to him and began to chat. Familiarity breeds contempt. Familiarity breeds contempt. Chapter 9: Deceptive Appearances. The Lion and the Statue. A man and a lion were once discussing which was the stronger, and the man showed the lion a statue of a man strangling a lion. If we lions were the sculptors, you would see the lion strangling the man. We can only judge by what we see. The tree and their reed. A huge oak was blown down by a storm, while a slender reed remained standing. The oak said to the reed, "I was strong and stiff, while you bowed before the wind. It is better to bend than to break. Obscurity often brings safety." The fox and the cat. The fox was once boasting to the cat of his many ways of escaping from his enemies. "I have a whole bag of tricks. How many have you?"
I have only one, and it is to climb a tree.
Just then the hunters appeared. The cat climbed a tree and was safe, while the fox, after trying all his tricks, was caught by the dogs.
Better one sure way than 100 that fail.
One good trick is worth 100 poor ones. The wolf in sheep's clothing. A wolf once found the skin of a sheep and, putting it on, he managed to get among the flock and eat several sheep. But during the night the shepherd wanted some mutton, and taking up his knife, he killed the first sheep he came to, which happened to be the wolf. Appearances are deceptive. The dog in the manger. A dog lay in the manger and would not let the oxen touch the hay. You cannot eat it yourself. Why should you prevent others from eating it? People often grudge others what they cannot enjoy themselves. Chapter 10. Greed and Folly. The man and the wooden god. A man had a wooden god which he prayed to, but as he remained poor, he at last became so angry that he took it by the leg and dashed it against the wall. The head broke off, and out came a quantity of gold. The man said mockingly, "I see you are a god of no use to me while I worshipped you, but as soon as I treat you with contempt, you show your treasure." Prosperity is often the reward of those who despise the false. The fisher. A fisher was once playing his flute on the bank of a river, thinking that the fish would dance to his music. But as no fish appeared, he at last took his net and soon caught a great haul. As he saw them jumping about in the net, he said, "You would not dance to my music before, but now that I have caught you, you dance without it. There is a time for all things." The shepherd's boy. A shepherd's boy was once minding his sheep when he thought he would play a joke on the villagers. "Wolf, wolf." The villagers came running with their sticks, but found no wolf. The boy did this several times. At last a wolf did really come, and the boy cried out as before, "Wolf, wolf." But the villagers, thinking it was only another joke, did not come, and the wolf ate all the sheep. Liars are not believed even when they speak the truth. The young thief and his mother. A young boy once stole a book from school and brought it home to his mother. She did not punish him, but said he was a clever boy. As he grew up, he began to steal more and more until at last he was caught and condemned to death. As he was being led to execution, he asked to speak to his mother. "I have something to say to you, mother." As she leaned forward, he bit off her ear.
You wicked son! Is it not enough that you have been a thief, but you must now injure your mother?
"If you had punished me for stealing the book, I should not have come to this." Nip evil in the bud. The man and his two wives. A middle-aged man had two wives, one young and the other old. Each of them wanted him to look like herself. So every day the old wife plucked out his black hairs, and the young wife plucked out his white ones. At last the man was quite bald. You will only lose your head if you try to please everyone. Chapter 11. Warnings and Wisdom. The Nurse and the Wolf. A wolf was passing by a cottage when he heard a child crying, and the nurse said,
Be quiet, or I will give you to the wolf.
The wolf, thinking she was in earnest, waited outside all day. But when evening came, he heard the nurse say,
There's a good child. If the wolf comes, we will kill him.
People say one thing and mean another. Enemies' promises were made to be broken. The Tortoise and the Birds. A tortoise was once dissatisfied because he could not fly like the birds. I wish I could fly. Will someone teach me? An eagle agreed to help him and, taking him up into the air, let him go, telling him to fly. The tortoise fell to the ground and was dashed to pieces. You cannot change your nature. The Two Crabs. A mother crab once said to her son, Why do you walk so sideways, child? It is much better to walk straight forward. Show me how to do it, mother, and I will follow your example. But the mother crab could only walk sideways herself. Example is better than precept. The ass and the lion's skin and the lion's skin. An ass once found the skin of a lion, and putting it on, he terrified all the animals. His master, too, was at first afraid, but when he saw the long ears poking out, he soon found out the cheat. You can dress up like a lion, but you still bray like an ass. A fool may disguise his appearance, but his tongue will soon betray him. The Two Fellows and the Bear. Two fellows were once walking through a forest when a bear suddenly appeared. One of them climbed a tree, while the other fell to the ground and pretended to be dead. The bear came up and smelled him, but as he did not move, the bear at last went away. What did the bear whisper to you? Asked the one in the tree. He told me to avoid those who desert their friends in time of danger. Misfortune tests the sincerity of friends. Chapter 12. Strength in Unity. The Two Pots. Two pots, one of earthenware and the other of brass, were once carried away by a flood. Keep close to me and I will protect you, said the brass pot to the earthenware one. Nay, replied the other. It is you I am afraid of, for if we should strike together, I should be the one to suffer. Equally matched friends are the best. The Four Oxen and the Lion. Four oxen were once so friendly that they always stayed together. A lion, who wanted to eat them, could never do so while they were all together. At last, he managed to set them at variance with each other. As soon as they were separate, he fell upon them one by one. United we stand, divided we fall. United we stand, divided we fall. The Fisher and the Little Fish. A fisher once caught a very small fish.
Please let me go. I am so small now. I should be much more worth catching when I have grown to be a large fish.
Nay, I have got you now, and I may never see you again. A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. Avaricious and envious. Jupiter once sent a messenger to two men, one of whom was avaricious and the other envious. He told them that whatever one of them asked for, the other should have double. I will not ask for anything, for then he would have twice as much as I, thought the avaricious one. I will ask that I may lose one of my eyes, for then he will lose both, said the envious one. Envy is its own punishment. The Crow and the Pitcher. A crow, perishing with thirst, saw a pitcher with some water in it, but she could not reach it with her bill. She then began to drop pebbles into the pitcher until at last the water rose so high that she could reach it. Necessity is the mother of invention. Necessity is the mother of invention. Chapter 13. Integrity and Truth. The Man and the Satyr. A man once met a satyr in the forest. As they were talking, the man blew on his hands to warm them. "Why do you do that?" asked the satyr. "To warm my hands because it is cold." Later, as they were eating some hot soup, the man blew on it to cool it. "Why do you do that?" asked the satyr again. "To cool my soup because it is hot." "I will have no more to do with you. You blow hot and cold with the same breath. I cannot trust those who blow hot and cold with the same breath." The Goose with the Golden Eggs. A countryman once had a goose which every day laid a golden egg. He thought that if he killed the goose, he would get all the gold at once. But when he killed it, he found nothing but what is inside a common goose. I have lost both the gold and the goose. Greed often overreaches itself. The Laborer and the Nightingale. A laborer once caught a nightingale.
Please let me go. I am so small, and if you let me go, I will give you 3 pieces of advice.
The man agreed. The nightingale said,
Do not believe all you hear. Do not regret what is lost. Do not try to reach what is out of your reach.
The man let her go. She then cried out mockingly,
You are a foolish man. I have a pearl in my crop as large as an egg.
The man tried to catch her again, but she flew away. He had already forgotten her advice. The Fox, the Cock, and the Ros. A cock was perched on a high branch. A fox came up. "Good morning, cousin. Have you heard the good news? Peace has been made among all the animals." "That is indeed good news. I see some hunters coming with their dogs." "Dogs, then I must be going." "Why?" "Since peace has been made, they will not hurt you." "Ah, maybe they haven't heard the news yet." The trickster is often tricked by his own tricks. The Wind and the Sun. The wind and the sun were once disputing which was the stronger. "I am the stronger. See how I can blow the coat off that traveler."
Let us see who can make him take it off first.
The wind blew with all his might, but the more he blew, the more closely the traveler wrapped his coat around him. Then the sun shone with all his warmth, and the traveler soon became hot and took off his coat.
Gentleness often succeeds where force fails.
Kindness is more powerful than force. Chapter 14. Persistence and Folly. Hercules and the Wagoner. A wagoner was driving his wagon through a muddy road when the wheels became stuck. He began to pray to Hercules for help. "Put your shoulder to the wheel, man. Do not pray to the gods while you are doing nothing yourself. The gods help those who help themselves." The Man, the Boy, and the Donkey. A man and his son were once driving a donkey to market. As they were walking along, some people said, "How foolish! Why should they walk while the donkey has nothing to do?" So the man put the boy on the donkey. Further on, some other people said, "The lazy boy! He rides while his old father has to walk." So the boy got down and the man got up. Then some others said, "The cruel man! He makes the poor boy walk while he rides." So they both got up. Then some others said, "It is a shame to overload the poor animal like that." At last, trying to please everyone, they carried the donkey on a pole. But as they were crossing a bridge, they stumbled, and the donkey fell into the river and was drowned. If you try to please everyone, you will please no one. please all, and you will please none. The miser and his gold. A miser once buried all his gold in a hole in the forest. Every day he went to look at it. A thief saw him and soon stole the gold. When the miser found his gold gone, he was in despair. "Do not be so sad," said a neighbor. "Put a stone in the hole and tell yourself it is gold. It will do you just as much good as the gold did when it was there. Wealth unused is no wealth at all." The fox and the mosquitoes. A fox was once swimming across a river when he became entangled in some weeds. A swarm of mosquitoes began to bite him. "Shall I drive them away?" "Nay, for these are already sold. If you drive them away, a fresh swarm will come and suck all the blood that is left in me. Better a known evil than an unknown one." The fox without a tail. A fox once lost his tail in a trap and was so ashamed that he decided to persuade the other foxes to cut off their tails too. Why should we carry such heavy and useless things as these tails? Let us all cut them off. "Ah," said another fox, "you would not say that if you had not lost your own tail. Distrust the advice of those who have something to gain by it." Chapter 15. Unforeseen Hazards. The one-eyed doe. A doe that had but one eye used to grazing on a high cliff, with her one eye turned towards the land to see if any hunters were approaching. But some hunters saw her from the sea and soon shot her.
Woe is me! I thought they would come from the land, and they have come from the sea.
Danger often comes from where we least expect it. Belling the cat. The mice met to consult how they could protect themselves from the cat.
I have a plan. Let us hang a bell around the cat's neck, then we shall always hear her coming.
The mice all agreed that this was an excellent plan, but an old mouse said,
That is all very well, but who is going to bell the cat?
"It is easy to propose impossible remedies." The old man and death. An old man, tired of his heavy burden of wood, at last threw it down and called for death. Death immediately appeared. "Why have you called me?" "Please help me to put my bundle on my shoulders again." We all love life, even when it is a burden. The hare with many friends. A hare once thought she had many friends because she always tried to be kind to everyone. But when the dogs were after her, she went to her friends one by one for help. "I am too busy. I am too tired. I am too small." Finally, the hare had to escape by her own speed. He that has many friends has no friends. Friend in need is friend indeed. The lion in love. A lion once fell in love with a woodman's daughter and asked for her hand in marriage. "I will let you have her, but first you must cut off your claws and pull out your teeth, for they might frighten her." The lion agreed, but as soon as he had done so, the woodman drove him away with his stick. "I have given up my strength, and now I am at the mercy of my enemies." Love can make the strongest weak. Chapter 16. Unity and Wit. The bundle of sticks. An old man's sons were always quarreling. He called them to him and gave them a bundle of sticks. "Break this bundle of sticks." "I cannot," said each son after trying his best. "Now take each stick separate and break it." "That is easy. As long as you stay together, no one can hurt you, but if you separate, you will be easily broken. Union is strength." The lion, the fox, and the beasts. The lion, being old and sick, lay in his cave and asked the animals to visit him. He then ate them one by one. The fox came, but stayed outside. "Why do you not come in, cousin? I see many footprints going in, but none coming out. Take warning from the misfortunes of others." The ass's brains. The lion and the fox went a-hunting and caught an ass. The lion killed it and left the fox to guard it while he went for a nap. The fox, being hungry, ate the brains. When the lion returned, he at once missed them. What has become of the brains? He could not have had any brains, for if he had, he would never have come so close to a lion. Wit often saves where strength fails. The eagle and the arrow. An eagle was once shot by an arrow. As he lay dying, he noticed that the arrow was feathered with his own feathers. "Alas," he cried, "to be shot by feathers plucked from my own wing. It is a double death to be killed by one's own means." The milkmaid and her pail. A milkmaid was carrying a pail of milk on her head and began to dream of what she would do with the money she would get for it.
"I will buy some eggs, then I will have some chickens, then I will buy a new dress, and all the young men will want to dance with me."
As she thought this, she gave her head a toss, and the pail fell off and all the milk was spilled.
"I have lost all my dreams in a moment."
Do not count your chickens before they are hatched. The cat maiden. A young man once fell in love with a cat and asked Venus to change her into a beautiful woman. Venus agreed, and the man was very happy. But one day Venus decided to test her, and she let a mouse loose in the room. The woman immediately began to chase the mouse, and Venus, seeing that she was still a cat at heart, changed her back again. Nature will out. The horse and the ass. A horse and an ass were once traveling together, the ass being heavily laden. "Please help me, I am so tired with this heavy load." "I am a warhorse, I do not carry burdens." Soon the ass fell down and died. The master then put all the load on the horse, and the ass's skin as well. "I have got more than I wanted now." Help others, or you may find yourself carrying their burdens. The trumpeter taken prisoner. A trumpeter was taken prisoner in a battle and asked for his life to be spared. "I have no sword or spear, I only blow my trumpet. That is the very reason why you shall die. For though you do not fight yourself, you egg on others to do so. He who encourages strife is as guilty as he who fights." The buffoon and the countryman. A buffoon once for a joke imitated the squeak of a pig so well that everyone applauded. A countryman then said he could do it better. The next day they both appeared. The buffoon squeaked and was applauded. The countryman then squeaked but was hissed by the crowd. "You see, I have won. Nay, I have a real pig under my cloak, and it was he that squeaked." People often prefer an imitation to the real thing. The old woman and the wine jar. An old woman once found an empty wine jar that still smelled of the old wine.
"Oh, how good you must have been when you were full."
The memory of what is good is a treasure in itself, in itself. The fox and the goat. A fox fell into a well and could not get out. A goat came along and asked if the water was good. "It is excellent. Come down and taste it yourself." The goat jumped down, and the fox immediately leaped upon his shoulders and out of the well. "Goodbye, cousin. If you had had as much wit as beard, you would have looked before you leaped." Look before you leap. The end.